So Sean Pond is with Halt The Dolores Monument. It says the threat of a Dolores National Monument has unified the local communities against the federal government gross overreach. This affects the effects on local industries, mining, oil and gas, uranium, motorized recreation, hunting, and economic ramifications are all things to be concerned about. So my friends, Sean Pond.
Thank you very much. How we doing this afternoon? I guess almost this evening now. I'm going to make this quick because you all have been sitting here all day, but I want to thank everybody for coming today. So I live in Nucla, Colorado. If you don't know where that is, it's on the western slope. I'm a fourth-generation Colorado native, and I actually have ties here to the San Luis Valley. My grandfather was the chief of police in Center, Colorado, so I'm one of you, I guess is what I'd say. So real quick, I want to tell you all about how I got into this about 9 months ago now. I heard about the Dolores National Monument proposal. A friend of mine was a rancher, and he handed me a map and asked me if I had heard of this monument proposal. And I hadn't. I didn't know anything about a monument proposal. So my wife, who's sitting right in the front row, did a whole lot of Google research. And by the next day, we were both so fired up at what we'd learned in 24 hours about government overreach, about federal land grabs, about environmental activism. And 24 hours prior, I was that quiet guy that lived on the hill. So here I am today, and I'm going to tell you what I've learned in 9 months. And I'm going to tell you about this 400,000-acre federal land grab in western Colorado that they're going to tell you is about conservation and protection. They don't care about conservation or protection. They care about taking. They care about taking your land and taking your resources. And if you think for 1 minute the government doesn't want to own your resources, you're wrong. The government is in the business of taking resources and owning resources. And how I learned this was, they called this the Dolores River Canyon National Monument, but it's 400,000 acres. And it's 40 miles outside of the River Canyon. And somewhere about the second month, I was online bored one day because I didn't sleep much, and I found something called the Uravan Mineral Belt. And I downloaded the Uravan Mineral Belt, and I printed it out, and it was like somebody took a crayon and traced the boundary. The largest and richest uranium reserve in the United States. And it became quickly apparent that this was an anti-mining campaign. Well, then we started figuring out there was about 25 nonprofit organizations behind this, NGOs. And we started to research who these people were. And we started to research of where they got their money. So that's what I'm going to focus on real quick. I'm going to tell you about the 400,000-acre Dolores Canyon National Monument threat. And I'm going to tell you that I have a petition online. And if you'll Google the Halt The Dolores National Monument petition, give it a read. Sign it, share it online, share it on social media. We need numbers. There's 58 ranching families within that monument boundary, 231,513 allocation acres, multi-generational ranchers. There are countless mining permits. There are so many thousands of families that are going to be impacted by this designation. And that's my purpose. Because these people that come here, and I'm going to tell you how they get here in your community, they don't care about hurting people. They don't care about crushing industries. They actually celebrate it. They talk about how we're, pardon my language, but the last email I got from the mayor of Grand Junction called us poor bastards. So these are the people we're fighting. So what we've done is done a lot of research to find out who these environmental activists are, where they come from, how they operate, and how they get into your community. So I'm not going to talk all night here, but I'm going to be real quick. So they're trained and they're funded. Has anybody in here ever heard of Hans-Georg Weiss? I knew you would. If you haven't, Google him. He's a Swedish billionaire. He's 78 years old. He's worth $15 billion, and he lives in Wyoming. He he has contributed and dedicated $1.5 billion in 2024 to conservation acts across this country. And Hans-Georg Weiss runs a fellowship foundation called the Hans-Georg Weiss Goodfellows, where they go out and they seek young environmental activists in these colleges and institutions, and they bring them in, and they train them. And I'm pretty sure you heard one up here today. You can go on their website and you can listen to who they are, and they're trained to seek out people in your local economy or your local communities that are willing to listen, that want to compromise, that want to be important. They teach them to be charming. They teach them to tell good stories, to bring you in. They teach them, they train them to come into your communities, into your county commissioner's offices. They teach them to come in there and find people that will work with them to promote their agenda, the 30 by 30 agenda. And if you don't know what that is, everybody's talked about it today, it's a United Nations agenda to lock up, protect 30% of all lands and all waters by the year 2030. So when these people come into your areas, they're going to seem like they're your friends. I have somebody in my hometown that started out working with me and almost got sucked into that side. Was really close. Thought they were involved in something. Thought that they were going to make a better fight. They were trying to propose a national conservation area over the Dolores National Monument. And it's taken me a couple months to get these people to understand that you have become part of the problem. With the Conejos National Conservation Area Monument here, I'm going to use the words of Simone, but a national conservation area is a gateway drug to a national monument. The only real difference in national conservation areas and national monuments is how they're created. You know, national conservation area is put together with congressional oversight, and then they put together these managing agencies. Well, who do you think's on the managing boards of these? Environmental activists. And if the people that are in opposition don't agree, well, they can kick them off of those panels. So now you have a national conservation area ran by environmental activists, and they become increasingly more restrictive over time, right? Up until the point of becoming a national monument down the road. So does anybody know what the Antiquities Act of 1906 is? Okay, so the Antiquities Act of 1906 is an abused law that allows a sitting president to proclaim national monuments. It has been abused so many times. The Antiquities Act in 1906 has a definition that says that a sitting president can protect an object by using the smallest amount of land as required to manage the object. Okay? So if you look at President Theodore Roosevelt, used it the first time to create the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. It's 1,500 acres. Well, that's pretty much fits the definition, right? Well, somewhere, and Simone can probably talk better than I. She's got years with this. I've got 9 months. But they started to become, 10,000 acres, 20,000 acres. How about Bears Ears at 1.8 million acres or 1.6 million acres? Grand Staircase Escalante, 1.87 million acres, I believe. This national monument in western Colorado is some 400,000 acres. And to give you an idea, there's 9 national monuments in the state of Colorado right now. All 9 of the existing monuments would fit inside of this new national monument designation. Okay? So that's how they're created. National monuments are created by presidential proclamation, and in the case of this national monument, they have asked Joe Biden to create it this year by abusing the Antiquities Act of 1906. So that's why my wife and I have been somewhere every weekend, getting in front of every camera, every crowd, and I'm incredibly appreciative of Josh inviting me here today. Thank you so much. And to give you an idea, like last weekend, my wife and I we traveled with Congresswoman Lorna Boebert. We addressed the Southern Ute tribe, and we had a listening session at CMU in Grand Junction. So we're trying to spread the word as fast as we can. So you don't want that up there, buddy. That's the bad guys. So what he just did there was put up the Protect the Dolores Coalition, which is the environmental activists behind this. So, our website's not nearly that good because I don't have the money or the people they do. So I want to tell you how they're made. I want to tell you about the differences between national monuments and NCAs, and I want to tell you how they get in there and how they influence you and how they train you, right? Because right now in Colorado, there are 1.3 million acres of federal land grabs. There's the Dolores Monument proposal in my backyard. There's the Conejos NCA monument here. There's a new one that Senator Michael Bennett released 2 Mondays ago called the Gunnison Outdoor Resources Protection Plan. 720,000 acres in Gunnison. Well, what's Gunnison got? It's got water, right? That's a resource. And it's all about resources, and it's all about locking up land. So what I'm trying to do is spread the word about how they get into your local communities, how they influence your elected officials, because they're coming to your backyard next, and it's not going to stop. One of the slides today, a gentleman showed, we have 65% of Colorado as public land. 30% of all public lands protected by the year 2030 means you're going to lose 30% of that acreage. That's their goal. It's not about preservation. It's not about protection. It's about the agenda. So, to give you an idea of how they influence, the mayor of Grand Junction's name was Anna Stout. Anna Stout is the individual that flew to Washington, D.C. and submitted the petition for the Protect the Dolores Coalition, the bad guys here. And she's the mayor of Grand Junction. She's not a county commissioner. She's not a senator. She's just a mayor of Grand Junction. It's not even an elected official. She was appointed by the council, right? Well, I can't say we, it wasn't me. Somebody pulled a Cora request, and we just came out 2 days ago, and what they did is requested all email communications between the Colorado Wildlands, which is the people behind this, his name is Scott Braden, and our Mayor Anna Stout. In that 87-page document, we found collusion, we found corruption. The mayor of Grand Junction, Colorado, Anna Stout, replied to Scott Braden with the Colorado Wildlands, quote, "I am your tool. Use me as I am useful." Fact. The Colorado Wildlands Coalition paid for Mayor Anna Stout's flight to Washington, D.C. The Colorado Wildlands Foundation paid for an all-expense raft trip down the Dolores River for your Senator Michael Bennett in 2023. That's an ethics violation. So these people are trained, they're funded. When I'm talking about funded, we're talking about billions of dollars from the Hans Georg Weiss Foundation. How about Walmart, the Walton family, the owners of Sam's Club and Walmart? $398 million donated to conservation this calendar year. So this is the problem. Most of us here today aren't getting paid to do this. We're just people. We're people that saw something that was wrong, an injustice, and whether it be for fighting for individual liberties, or for cattle ranchers, or for miners, or if you're just like me fighting for my right to outdoor recreate on public land, it means something. So as I told you, I'm not going to talk all night. I think you saw the website. We've got cards here. You can call me. I'm going to cut this short. But what I'm going to tell you is the other side of this is incredibly motivated. They're very well funded. And we have animal activists. We have environmental activists. What we need is more freedom activists. Thank you.